Alright guys, this is question 22, I believe, 2018 AMC 10 Test A, and this is also one of the harder problems, but as you keep solving, as you solve more of these problems, they'll come easy to you. Alright? So let's read it here. It says, let A, B, C, and D be positive integers such that GCD, the greatest common divisor of A and B, equals 24, GCD of B and C equals 36, GCD of C and D equals 54, and 70 is less than GCD of D and A, and GCD of D and A is less than 100. Which of the following must be a divisor of A? Alright? So let's work this out first, alright? So when we have the greatest common divisor or something, when we have oh, that's a thin pencil. Let's make it bigger. Right here. Is this better? Yeah. When we have the GCD of A and B, and if the GCD of A and B equals 24, that means 24 has to be a factor of A, and 24 also has to be a factor of B, right? And so let's prime factorize 24 so we can get a better understanding. Alright, so we have 24 is equal to 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, alright? So that means we know A must be at least 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, and B also must be at least 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, alright? Alright, and so if we have the GCD of B and C, so it says GCD of B and C is equal to 36, alright? And so what does that tell us? That tells us that the numbers B and C 36 has to be a factor, has to also be a factor of numbers B and C, alright? And so let's prime factorize 36. So 36, what is the prime factor? It's 3 times 3 times 2 times 2. And so for B, listen closely here. For B, we already have 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. In order to make it something like this, all we have to do, we see 36 and B, they have 1 3 in common, but 36, we also have another 3 right here. So we're going to add another, or we're going to multiply another 3 to here. And look, we already have 2 2's right in here, and plus this another 2 because it has to be also be a factor of 24. Alright? And for C, all that has to do is fit the constraint of 36. So it's 3 times 3 times 2 times 2, alright? 36 is a factor of 36. Alright? So let's look at D now, alright? The GCD of C and D is equal to 54. And so what does this tell us? Well, 54 is a factor of C and D, alright? And so let's prime factorize 54. It is 3 times 2 times 3 times 3. Alright? And so now we can figure out our factors of D. Alright? And we have to add on factors for C, right? Because we know that C is a factor of 30 so we know that C is a factor of 36, and we also know C is a factor of 54, right? Given right here. And so D, we have 3 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 3. And then C right here, well, C is a factor of 36 right here, right? But it also needs to be a factor of 54. So how do we do that? Well, we have 3 4's in 54, and we have 2 4's right here, right? So all we need to do is multiply one more 3. I'm sorry, it has 3 3's, not 4's. My bad, I accidentally said 4's. It has 1 2 right here, and has 2 2's right here, so we're all good with that, okay? And so D, this is the minimum amount it needs to be. And look, it fits all the constraints of A, B, and C. D, it fits all the constraints of these ones right here. But this is the hard one right here, right? This is the hard one we have to figure out. It says 70 is less than the GCD of D and A, and the GCD of D and A is less than 100. So how do we do that, right? So we know that the GCD of or we know that A is equal to 24 right now, all right? Given 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, We know that D is 54 right now, right? Because we just did it right here. Alright, and it's telling us that the greatest common divisor of D and A is is in between 70 and 100. And so what's the greatest common divisor right now? Well, the answer is 6, right? Because it has 3 times 2 right here, and it has 3 times 2 right here. So the greatest common divisor right now is going to be 6, okay? 6. And so so we can automatically cross out 5 right here because 5 is less than 6. All right. Let's keep solving, okay? Now, what I did to solve this even further is I just plugged in all these values into A and D, right? So I plugged in 7 right here. 7 saying which following must be a divisor of A. Must be a divisor A. So if I plug in 7 here and I times 7 right here, well, 24 times 7, what's that? All right, 24 times 7. 7 times 14 is 16, 168. And 54 times 7 is 35, 378. And we see that if we list out all the factors of 178 or 100, what is this? 168 and 378, we see that the greatest common factor of these two is not greater than 70 and in between 100, all right? Now, so that means we can cross out number 7 or B. So let's try out 11 now. And let's try adding 11 to the factors, all right, of A and D. So if we do 11, we do 24 times 11. All right, and I already did this on my piece of paper. Let me go grab it. So 24 times 11 is 264, so 264. And 11 times 54 is 594. And the greatest common factor between 264 and 594 is not in between 70 and 100, all right? So we can cross out this one right here. We're going down, all right? So now we see D right here. If we plug in 13, right? So 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 13, all right? So 24 times 13. Well, my piece of paper here says 24 times 13 is 312. I'm a little congested right now, but alright, and then 54 times 13 as well. 54 times 13 is 702. And 702. And the greatest common factor between 702 and 312, if you list out all the factors, it is 78. And 78 is indeed between 70 and 100, all right? And so 13 must be a factor, or it must be a divisor of A, because 13 would only be the only reasonable number, all right, to make A and D have a greatest common divisor between these numbers, all right? So all these numbers would not fit the constraint of this. All right, maybe they'd fit this and this and this right here, but they would not fit this constraint right here, right? And so this problem definitely takes a lot of computation, but if you get faster over time with the computation, then you'll be solving this problem in 5 minutes, all right? And so there you go. That's how you solve the problem. There you go.